Hello guys, how are we doing? Welcome back to the channel. We're reviewing a subscribers gameplay as part of Help with Harrz, which is a series I do to make my subscribers hopefully better at Black Ops 6 ranked play by reviewing their gameplay, giving a few tips and pointers on how they can improve their performance. Today we're reviewing a diamond player who's looking to get to crimson. So if you're in that sort of similar situation and you feel like you could improve somewhere but you're not sure where, maybe there's some traits this player has that you can also pick up on as well. We're going to be looking at a focus on making better and smarter decisions, and I know this is from the looks of it, a protocol hardpoint gameplay which doesn't exist in ranked play currently. This is still going to be helpful. I'm going to be just giving general tips around decision making using what I'm seeing in today's video. Before we get into it, I just wanted to say first of all, an apology for the lack of frequent content. I know I've taken a little bit of a backstep in content over the past weeks. My real job has been a little bit busy, and I just haven't been able to keep on top of my YouTube. So first of all, slap on the wrist, apologize for that. I'm hoping to be a little bit more consistent in the coming near future. And I also want to shout out to everyone who's staying tuned to the channel, new subscribers, current tier 1 channel members who I'm going to put all up on screen because I think they deserve a shout out for being, some of which, around for a bloody long time. And let's get into the video. So we're going to review the form, and if you want to send a form in yourself for your channel for your gameplay to be reviewed, you can use the link down below to have that done. You do get priority as a tier 1 channel member, so if you want to be top of the list, just have to become a channel member and tick that box when you submit your form. And we're going to review through the form, look through the gameplay, and can give 2 or 3 or maybe 4, depending on what we see, key things that this player can hopefully focus on going into the next few games on Black Ops 6 ranked play. So we're going to start off with generally how their game went. So they lose 250 to 221. They do pretty well. They get almost most kills time within the team. They get a decent amount of captures and objective kills, and they get a nearly 2 KD. A 1.7 is pretty good. They probably have got the most eliminations as well at that point, to be fair. So stat like this, you could probably go, what else could I have done? I've clearly done best for my team. I'm going to blame my teammates, but I'm here to show you there's probably decisions you could have made in gameplays like this that could have got you the dub. Okay, maybe playing less for KD, maybe playing your life a little bit less in this situation could have potentially been better for your team. And hopefully the things that I'm pointing out in today's video, you can go back and watch your own gameplay, maybe in theater mode or something like that, and spot similar mistakes and use the same logic I'm using to review this player in your own gameplay. So we're going to look at the form quickly. The submission is from Kareem Ezat. They play on a console, 15 hours a week. They're Diamond 1. Their highest rank last year was Gold 2, so they've stepped up massively in Black Ops 6, so shout out for you to doing that. They have good settings. They play on a controller. Seems to have general good setup here completely, so yeah, shout out for you for that. As I say, they want help on decision making. I'm aware I can sometimes make stupid decisions, so I need to help on what I should be doing in different scenarios. Absolutely fine. Again, I'm not going to be map specific because I'm aware protocol hardpoint isn't in the rotation anymore. They also go on to say picking the correct routes as an SMG and correctly blocking spawns as an AR is something else they struggle with in Black Ops 6 ranked play. So let's kick it off with a video. Let's kick it off with a game. Let's take it all the way back to the beginning and see what we can find. First of all, I just need to shrink this down a little bit so I can actually see the whole gameplay. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to see much, are we? Okay. Let's see what we got here. So their gun of choice, by the looks of it, I believe, is a sub. I instantly like this. So something I want to give massive kudos to here is when you're a sub player and you're playing hardpoint, no matter what map it is, you need to be meeting the enemies somewhere in the middle. Okay, you want to be the one that gets the first blood. You want to be the one that gets in the face of the enemies first. Meeting in the middle, like Kareem has managed to do here, is huge. They get the first blood, and they just have to trust their team to get the trade, to be the last person standing on the objective, and that should be what happened in here. So really nice play. You perhaps could have played your life a little bit more there, perhaps. You did over challenge there quite considerably. You then secondly challenged there. If you've just engaged in a gunfight, try and play your life, okay? Especially when you know you've got people coming in. So I get, yes, this is great because you've been aggressive. Get that kill, and then you've instantly gone to get the second kill, whereas what you could have done is just played your life and you've got teammates looking over you. As a sub, you need to be able to rely on your AR players above you. And when you're in a sticky situation like this, try and allow your teammates to look over you, okay? So yeah, maybe a silly overchow, but I like the intention. I like the fact you've just gone to the middle of the map, tried to show an offensive force right at the beginning and got the first kill. Unfortunately, your teammates haven't traded you whatsoever, so I'm going to see how this plays out. Now, you've got an advantage here where you're going to have split spawns. Now, in any map on the hard point, you can use this sort of situation to advantage where you've got enemies spawning, teammates spawning one side of the map, you've spawned the other. What you can do here, especially when you're on the good side, so you've got to determine what side of the hill you want, and I prefer the side you're on to keep for P1 and P2. Wait for these players to cause a little bit of a diversion, okay? Let them bait the players on P1, because the players on P1, the other team are going to be going, right, where did they spawn, where did they spawn, where did they spawn? And as soon as your teammates shoot this side, they're going to look that way to get some kills. That means you've got 3 kills, shoot them in the back, and you should be good. But let's see how you play this out. Obviously, you might just do exactly what I said. Okay, not bad. Again, you haven't got much support from your teammates there, so I'm going to break down what we could have done slightly better there. So we get a top trip, and we instantly jump down without getting much info whatsoever. Now, when you've got the C9, even with the jacket in your hand, you can beam from these windows relatively easily. I think taking this a little bit slow and being a little bit more careful in your approach to P1 here is probably advised. You can beam players on P1 from the top. You don't necessarily have to be on their level, in their face. This is a real good power position, whether you've got a sub or an AR. You want to keep this position held because it's a real god spot looking over P1. And you could have probably got a kill from the windows and you would be a little bit more safe in doing so. Jumping out, just throwing yourself into the mix, leaves it a bit random. You can see you have got no map control on your team. So I'm trying to not to relate this just to protocol. You've got absolutely no map control of your teammates here. You have no idea where the enemies really are. There's no enemies dead. So you're jumping into the mixiest part of the map. This would be the same on P1 Vault. This would be the same on P1 Red Cards, like any sort of mixy areas on any maps, like the middle of a map. You need to make sure you've got map control of it, or at least you've got a first couple kills before engaging in that environment. And so that's partly why I think this decision could have probably been made a little bit better. Yes, you get the kill, but you could have got that kill from the top window and played your life. That would have then diverted enemies' attentions to that window or to somewhere else, allowing your teammates to get on the hill a lot easier. But we end up falling here, which happens. Okay, good nade. Trying to help your teammate on the time here. So we really want to be thinking about the new objective with 10 seconds left to the hill. Gone back here. I'm just trying to think about what. Okay, we've reacted to the gunfight. That's fine. I'm not going to over critique. Okay, on hardpoint, this goes without saying, you need to make sure that you've got a favorite side to want to be spawning on for each hill. Okay, and that's got to be in the back of your head every time you spawn into hardpoint. And you want to make sure you're playing to have that side. If that's your favorite side, you play to make sure you've got spawns for that side, and that's hopefully what we're seeing here. So your teammates are spawning this side, which tells you the enemies are spawning the other side. Fairly straightforward, and that's pretty much the general spawn logic on most hills. Most of the time. I know that's very, very vague. Okay. Nice, I actually don't mind that. The only thing I would advise is you just cleared that area, right? And again, this isn't protocol specific, but you've just cleared this area here. You can see nobody's there. You're aware this enemy is going to be pushing you from this side. Use your nade. Just throw a nade into this space. This is your danger space. This is where enemies could be challenging you. Okay, you know they're coming that way. You know the top is clear, and realistically, you've got teammates who should be accounting for your top area. You own this area. Trust your teammates. You've got a nade. Throw it down quickly. As long as you've got, that's probably what I'd have done there. But realistically, too many people there for you to kill anyway. You'd have probably ended up dying anyway. Okay, what's really interesting about this situation right now is that your teammates have decided to spawn all the way. Well, they haven't decided. They have spawned all the way out, which tells you the enemies have got pressure towards the boat side, and they've pushed a little bit through P2, maybe towards top trip, moving on to P3. So that's something in the back of your head you need to be careful of, is that when your teammates spawn away from the new hill, on this case P3's in the lockers area, bottom triples, your teammates are spawn the other side of that, you need to be careful that your enemies are likely to be rotating to the new objective. Good couple of kills. This is a great decision to focus your energy towards the new objective. So, love what we do here. You've got a lot of yourself shown. When you're trying to challenge something, you want to see as little of them as possible, so that they can see as little as you as possible. If you're looking down here, and you're only showing, you don't need to be right on the edge. Okay, you do not need to be right on the edge. Worst case scenario, they get 10 seconds and you rotate to the new objective. Okay, this guy isn't your priority right now. Yes, it's good for kills, but not so great for getting the new hill. Yeah, just don't be fully out in the open when you're trying to engage someone. Make sure you use every single bit of cover as a head glitch. But yeah, the fact you've played for that kill, instead of trying to rotate to P3 and just, you know what, let's leave the enemy with 10 seconds, hasn't spawned you all the way out. You could have been a little bit more better at decision making there. There's 10 seconds left. My priority is not the old hill. It never should be, unless you're at the really end of a game, okay?
Hardpoint is active. Hostiles have captured the hardpoint. Hardpoint locked down. Hostiles have the hardpoint.
Okay, good position. Your teammates have just spawned in the back, which means enemies are spawning towards your front. See what we can do. I'm not sure. I'm not going to critique this so much, but you just got to be very careful that when you're getting kills and nobody is at the back at all, the enemy is likely to spawn there. So you should really have expected that. Although the two people you did kill wasn't the person who came through the door at the end. And it seems like we're not sure what we're doing. We don't really have a game plan. Got to be decisive. Okay, you've got to be, I'm either pushing out the back. So yeah, on hardpoint, you're either blocking the spawn, you are on the objective getting a hill time, or you are being the slayer between where the enemy is spawning and the objective. They're the three roles you pretty much have to fill when you've got control of the hardpoint. Pick one, stick with it, rotate if you need to, flip the rat roll within the same hill if you need to. You seem to be not sure what's going on here. You either need to be, right, I don't need to be on the hill because I've got a teammate there, therefore I need to be the one blocking, holding the spawns, or I need to be the one that's playing between the enemy spawn and the objective. Okay, you need to be just a little bit more decisive there, and that, as I say, is applicable to any hill.
Hostiles have captured the hardpoint. Hardpoint locked down. Hostiles have the hardpoint.
Okay, there's 20 seconds left. The next hill is a really difficult hill to break, so we want to see priority towards that.
Hardpoint is secure. Hardpoint identified.
I actually don't mind this. Good 10 seconds of scrap time. And now we push. Love this.
Hardpoint active. Hostiles have the hardpoint.
Yeah, now we're trapped. So this is what I would do. This is a real in-depth into my brain right here. So your teammate's got kills, right? Or you just managed to get kills. And whilst you're getting that kill, that enemy, because it's on the old objective, that enemy's going to spawn behind the old objective, okay? He's then going to communicate to the whole of this team who are currently on the new objective, because we haven't had anyone rotate to the new objective, that they've spawned at old, which is going to tell the enemies you're coming from this side, okay? So it's a real sticky situation. As soon as you see your teammate spawn in this side, think about it, the whole reason you've gone to this area here is to pinch. Okay, you're trying to pinch the objective. At the point where you're now pushing the same space side of the hill where your teammates are spawning, means you're no longer pinching it. You're simply, at this point, hitting the hill from the space your teammates are spawning at anyway, which makes it predictable. Plus, this push here is only ever good if the enemies are really not expecting it, because it's just a corridor. It's a real hard way to break it. You only really, if you're expected, you only really want to break this hill from the front door, and that's the same on many hills. If you're you got to be careful about the objective when you're pushing it.
Hardpoint.
What's the easiest way to get to it, and go with that. With shot, never good to shoot unless you're guaranteed to get a kill. The enemies know which side you're coming from, and they definitely know which side your teammates are spawning now. Let's see some action now. Your teammate's got the first kill, which is good. You continue with the second kill.
Hardpoint locked down.
Nice. So far, so good. Very good, very good, very good. Enemies that yeah, nice. Yeah, this is really nice.
Hardpoint located.
There's nothing I can critique there. That's almost perfect hold of P4 once we broke it. Okay, so we go to the next set of rotations. Fairly even. I like this pinch.
Hardpoint is secure.
Get a bit closer.
Captured the hardpoint.
That's it.
They've taken the lead.
That's fine. I'm not going to overly critique that so much. I would use a streak though. Yep. Yeah. That's it. Put your brakes on. Put your brakes on. Okay, I'm actually going to flame your teammates at that point. They should have gone on the hill. That is not on you at that point. They should have got on the objective. You had a streak in. They knew the enemy couldn't get on it. That is down to your teammates.
Hardpoint
Let's just rewind that. Better shots would have paid off. I'll leave that there. Nothing else needs to be said. Okay. Spawned this side of P2. Do we want these side spawns? Okay, and again, any map, you spawn in at a certain spawn on a hill, and it's at the really start of the hill, like P2 hasn't even popped yet. Do you want these spawns, or do you want the other spawns? And this is no better time to play for the spawns you want than before the hills even popped, okay? So whether you're on Vault, whether you're on Red Card, whether you're on Protocol, whether you're on Rewind, play for the spawns first, and then you can push the objective with the better spawns, meaning that you're more likely to be successful once you've broken that objective, held the objective, and fended the enemy off when they've got the bad spawns. So yeah, I only say that because I prefer the spawns towards the triple side and have the enemy spawning in the back. Obviously, I don't know what your favorite spawns are. I don't think the pinch is the play here. Perhaps it is. Okay, perhaps it is. Now, the reason I said that, I'll break down why this is. So your teammates have currently got really good control of the hill. 2 enemies have died. You've got 2 teammates around the hill here. You've got really good presence towards the front of the hill. And you can defend the hill perfectly. You've got a teammate who's just spawned behind you. You've got teammates on the hill. You're in a real good spot to defend the hill from where you know the enemies are coming from, which is back here. Now, what your actions do is you're completely out the play. You aren't supporting your teammates who are actually on the objective itself. You get a good kill here, which you could have done by being close to the objective. And I'm not a massive fan of just leaving your teammates on time alone here. Because what you've done now, yes, you've got a couple of great kills. Yes, you're now on the objective. But because you haven't worked together as a cohesive unit on the objective towards P2, you're now sat here alone. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that if you'd have been on the objective, you would have been with your teammates anyway. That may not have been the case. But when you've got good amount of map control and you've got good amount of teamwork around the hill, which you did have, you had the opportunity to be with your team, spread, but be able to support each other in the same way. Yeah.
Point is secure.
And then when you are, even in this position, when you are trying to settle, you get that kill. Your teammates are still spawning this side, which tells you that where can they help you when they're spawning up there? They can probably help you at top. So you need to, your main concern at that point, you need to trust your teammates top because you're alone. You need to make sure you're in a position where you're covered from the door and this left-hand side because you have to trust your teammates to get your top. When you're the only one on the objective, you have to trust your teammates to get the top. So you need to make sure that you're not killable from the doorway or the left. So yeah, that just comes from losing the minimap and just determining where your teammates are. So that's fine. I think you've done a fairly okay job there. Again, you got a lot of kills, but there's not a lot of hill time coming from those kills. Okay, it's 30 seconds left. There's still a good amount of hill time to get here. You've got a stun and a nade, which can be useful. Nice, we haven't pushed in the back. I like that. Nice. Good. We pushed the objective together as a team. You've broken it, and now you should be able to rotate to P3 effectively.
Hardpoint located.
I like what we're doing here. I think in your head, they're spawning back there. Let's cut them off from the spawn. I think that's what we're trying to get at.
Hardpoint is active. Hardpoint is secure.
Really nice. Really nice play of your life there. I like this. I like this.
Hardpoint locked down. We claimed the advantage. Hostiles have captured the hardpoint.
That's fine. I could really overanalyze that gameplay, but you've got a few kills. I don't think that's bad at all. Nice, you get your kill, you play your life. The only thing I would say is that I'd love for you to throw a stun and a nade into the hill before you just fly at it. Only thing I want to say about that.
Hostiles have the
Okay, you spawn in, there's 10 seconds of hold. Where do we go?
identified.
Okay, there's 3 enemies down. That's actually not bad.
Hardpoint active.
Let's hope your teammates can suffer.
Hardpoint locked down.
Survive, not suffer. Survive on their own. That was a must-win gunfight. That was a must-win gunfight. Nicely done, though.
We've taken the lead. Stay on task.
Okay, there's clearly a lot of pressure towards the current objective from your, like,
Hardpoint is secure.
at your teammates. Let's see what we can do.
Hostiles reclaimed the lead.
Okay, they're getting a lot of this hill time here. Wait for your teammates a little bit. This is good hill time still. Your teammates are taking routes. I know part of this could have been probably helped by you, but your teammates need to be doing a little bit of a job here.
Hardpoint located.
Yep, that's fine. Again, though, at most you're getting 5 to 10 seconds of scrap time there. That needs to stop if we want to win more hard points.
Hardpoint is active.
Because now the enemy is already contesting P1 because we've challenged old way too late.
Hostiles have the hardpoint.
No, I don't mind this route. I think this is a good flank. Don't have to jump down straight away.
Hardpoint locked down.
It very much seems like we're just chasing kills at the moment rather than trying to predict where enemies are going to be coming from. Nice, now push out a spawn. Nice. Okay, this is good. I'm just keeping an eye on what your teammates are supposedly trying to do.
Hardpoint identified.
I like this rotation, rotating to the hill. You don't necessarily want the spawn, so you don't want to be pushing this out.
Hardpoint active. Hardpoint is secure.
Look at the bottom right of the screen. We've been there for 10 seconds, and there's not yet a trophy on the new hill.
Hardpoint is secure.
I think it goes without saying, if you watched Help with Harrz before, if you've got the opportunity to throw a trophy on the objective, you throw a trophy on the objective. You haven't, I don't think I've seen you use a trophy once yet this game, which should happen. Especially then, especially when you've rotated to the new hill, You know the enemies aren't spawning at the back because there haven't been, and they're still on the old objective. Gotta be throwing a trophy down at least there. But other than that, let's break it down. So we lose that gunfight, which is unfortunate. But were we in the best position there? So I don't mind this. You're checking the pinch. This is fine. What were we trying to do by coming here? I guess we're trying to get on the objective. Then we tried to... That teammate got on the objective, so we tried to move. Maybe that's unfortunate. I might be being a little bit too harsh there. But I definitely think you should have had a trophy down at least with the amount of time you had free. Again, we're taking on gunfights fairly in the open. You can challenge the hill fair more effectively from here, where my cursor is. If you stand here, you can challenge the hill with this as your cover to your right, which means the only place that can kill you is where you're looking. The fact that you come out here to challenge into the hill means you're completely open to the right-hand side. You can literally stand next to this wall, challenge the hill, covered from your right, and you're far better off. And that's what you've got to try and do. When you're taken on a gunfight, try and make it so that the only place, if possible, try and make it so that the only place you're killable from is the gunfight you're taking on itself. Okay, and if in an even better situation would be make it so that you're only killable from the place you're shooting, but make it so that you've got as much of an advantage in that gunfight as possible. So yeah, in this very specific situation, using this little pillar on your left here, if you've been on the other side of this wall towards where my cursor is on the minimap, you'd have been covered from this guy on the right, and you would have been able to shoot in the objective all the same. Okay, we're currently spawning all the way at the back, which means that enemies have got control of middle. If you ever change spawns on hardpoint, because realistically, the past couple of lives, you've been spawning P3, I believe. You've been spawning bottom P3. At the point you spawn here, that should most definitely trigger something in your head. Okay, why would I have not spawned where I have been spawning? And the reason for that, I can tell you, is because you've got an enemy putting pressure towards the middle of the map, or underground, or around P1, okay? Otherwise, you're just spawning P3. The reason I'm telling you that is because you need to be very careful about pushing P2, because there's likely an enemy already rotating to the new objective. I think that's a very common theme in this video, is the fact that you've got someone on the enemy team, at least one person, already rotating to the new hill every single time. I like this, having top control is really good for this hold. You have a stun and a nade at your utility. Nice, wait for your team, you got the kills. I like that. That's 4 down. Where you spawn will determine where the enemy spawns. Okay, enemy spawn in front, let's cut them off. Nice, play your life, play your life. This is perfect. Nice. That's rough. Imagine we lose it here. Or thereabouts. Right, go new. Go new, go new, go new. Teammates, your whole team needs to be going new at this point. You've got time, you've got 11 seconds. 11 seconds is a long time. Right, that's the first 2 kills. That's 2 kills. This is winnable. This is winnable. What goes wrong? You did see him. I know this is brilliant hindsight here. You did see him. Damn. That's tough. He managed to get 2 as well. That's really frustrating. Managed to get 3. Okay, that guy's won the game. I think you win that otherwise. Oh, that's really rough. Okay, before we get into the summary, I want to check a couple of things. Okay, so P1 is P1. So what I'm looking for is how many times we were rotating properly. How many times were we at the new hard point already, okay? So P1, fine,
Point is divided.
weren't there, but that's the start, so we won't count that one. P2, it pops, and we aren't there. So that's 1 to the enemy.
Hostiles have the hard point.
Move to P3.
The hard
Move to P3, it pops, the enemy's there, that's 2-0 to the enemy.
hard point is
P4,
hard point active.
pops, it's with the enemy, that's 3-0 to the enemy. P1, hang on, let's rotate back a step.
Hard point is active. Hard point is
Okay, this is tied, but we're not really set up, are we? I'm going to call that one even, so I'm going to keep that at 3-0.
the hard point.
I'm doing this to make a point,
Hard
by the
point
way.
active. Hard point.
Okay, that's one where we've actually rotated as a team here, and we've managed to get on the objective first. So that's 3-1. Okay, I'm trying to count in my head. But what happens here? We don't set up correctly, but in any case, it's still 3-1. That's fine. It's not the point I'm trying to make.
Located.
Moving into the second set of P3.
Point is active.
We're here.
Hard point is secure.
Fine. Good. That's 3-2.
To the hard increment. Point identified.
Moving on to P4. We're not there.
Hard point active.
Teammate is, thankfully.
Hard point locked down.
That's 3-all. But the enemies again break it instantly. And then moving on to P1. Yeah, they're first. That's 4-3 to the enemy at this point. But we managed to hold it.
Hard point here. The hard
Moving on to P2, I think we rotate early, but they break it instantly, I believe. So again, it's fairly even still. It's 4-all for like first zone captures, or 5-all.
hostiles have captured the hard point.
But yet again, they instantly break it, and they get good control of it.
Point located. Hostiles have the hard point.
P3,
Point locked down.
we're not really there. Your teammate is there first, but we're not set up at the new hill in time. So that's again another point to your enemy. And then P4, the very end one, they're there first. 4-3. So the point I'm trying to make here is, sorry, a massive spider just crawling up the wall, by the way. The reason I'm saying this is it's always going to be harder to win hard points when you're not rotating earlier first and you're not focusing on the new objective. The fact that it's the fact that it's even 50-50 up to this 99% of the way into the game leaves it up to chance. You really need to be taking ownership. Even if your team aren't doing it, someone on your team, you're in the one that's in control of your controller, should be trying to rotate to the new objective. Leave 15 seconds at old, get to new, get set up at new, and really fight for that hill. Now, in some occasions here, we did rotate, it didn't go well, and we ended up losing the hard point. Really think about the hills that are you holding the best spot for the hills? Now, I've got a hardpoint guide where you can see good setups for certain objectives. I'd fully recommend looking at them, watching CDL VOD reviews where you can see how the CDL pro set up in certain hill situations. Copy the setups, because the hills that we are rotating to, we're getting broken instantly. Now, I know you're not in a 4-man here. I know you are solo queuing, but you really need to be using your teammates' positioning to say, okay, where's not covered from the enemy spawn to the objective? And that's where I need to look up. Okay, that's where I need to be. So first tip is hardpoint. This is a really fundamental thing on hardpoint. If there's 15 seconds of left of old hill, let the enemies have 15 seconds. Set up at new so you can guarantee at least 15 seconds of new. Okay, it makes it worth it at that point. If you're getting at least 15 seconds at new and you've just left 15 seconds of old for the enemies to get, it's already worth it at that point, mathematically, all right? Now, and then the second thing is really focus on your setups. Okay, there's so many times where, especially that P2, where is it? I think it was the P2 around middle. Yeah, this P2 here. This P2, we've got such a good potential to have a really good setup of the objective. You don't need to run into the enemy spawn chasing kills every single time you've got good control of the map, okay? You'd have been far better here, just being a little bit stationary, supporting your teammates on these 2 kills that you can see, have the man advantage around the objective. That'd have been far better, okay? And that sort of resilience, that sort of ability to just pull back a bit and relax a little bit could go a long way, especially for someone who seems to be quite an aggressive sub player. And the other thing I'm going to say is make sure you focus on how better to use your utility. I don't think I saw you throw a trophy. I might be blind, but I don't think I saw you many trophies, if any. And your attacks and your stuns and nades could be used a little bit better. The ones we do use, we seem to be using at the wrong times because we're dying whilst using them. And the trophies, as I say, I don't think you were using them at all. So other than that, I think we're pretty good. I think your shooting's good. I think your movement's good. I think the ability to read spawns, I think, seems to be okay. Yeah, you just got to be really careful of how you play off your team, because you're getting kills, which is great. It looks great for the leaderboard, and it's probably really good for your SR and your hidden MMR. However, getting less kills and being a little bit more structured and rigid in your gameplay probably would have got you the win here. And rotating and just playing a little bit more fundamental hardpoint would have probably got you the dub. So yeah, to summarize, rotate earlier if we can. And for any of you watching, if you have similar tendencies, rotate earlier. Make sure you're aware of good setups, and make sure you've got, whether you're solo queuing or quad stacking, make sure you've got each lane to the objective covered if you can. And then thirdly, use your utility. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. You get it very frequently. Use it. It's there to help. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you found it useful more than anything, and I will see you in the next one. By the way, Diamond, you get to Crim. 100% get to Crim. Just got to pull back a bit and play a little bit more fundamentally. But yeah, enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao for now.